beautiful souls. Welcome to Cosmo Muse Tarot. So the reading that I'm going to do today is one that was kind of born out of a reading I felt like I needed, or feel like I need. It's one, so I'll just kind of go through where this came from. So recently, if you watched my May reading, you may have heard this, like my mom had a surgery and I ended up needing to come and sort of take care of her. And, you know, she was in a lot of pain, and it was terrible to try and, you know, take care of someone in that state. And despite this, and despite, you know, feeling a lot of empathy and being there and caring for her, my mother, God bless her, I love her, we have a great relationship, but there's no one else in this world that can trigger anger in me like my mom. And there were just moments when I'm caring for this person that's just, you know, horrendous amounts of pain, and finding myself at moments feeling frustrated with her or angry about certain things she was doing. And then I would go home and I would beat myself up for having certain emotions. And I'm sure if there was like, you were a fly on the wall watching the scenario, I wasn't, you know, like I didn't have bad behavior. It didn't show. But I would still come home and be like, why would I be so angry with her when she's in so much pain? And now that like she's kind of in a much better space and self-sufficient to a degree, and I'm not needed necessarily over there other than to visit, I've had time to process, and I just was like, you know, I need to give myself a little bit of grace, and I need to figure out ways in which I can be kinder to myself. And that might be like the root of some of the anger that sometimes comes up. There is like, when you can feel really kind towards yourself, I think you can show up more kind in the world. And I think I was just like not being kind to myself, and then that was creating a feedback loop of like not showing up very kind with, I mean, I don't think she would perceive it that well, but I felt like I wasn't as kind as I could have been. And I was just like, you know, I was under a lot of stress. The situation was hard. I was doing a lot. I was also overwhelmed. And so like, just this, I don't know, just this thing came up of like, I feel like everyone needs to learn how to be more kind to themselves and give themselves more grace. And that may actually be something that helps you to kind of transcend certain situations in life. Also, when I'm doing this reading, we're kind of in mid-spring right now, and in like traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong, there is an issue. It's interesting, and I'm actually just on the fly putting this together. I hadn't really overlaid this yet, but it just came to me. This spring season in those theories, it is a season about growth and kindness being the quality that helps growth, and anger being a quality that comes in when we feel like our growth is thwarted. So there is this kind of interesting relationship between anger and kindness and growth. And some 'tis the season, I guess. So maybe I'm also picking up on that collectively, that we all need to tap into ways in which we can be kinder to ourselves. So that's what this reading is about. How right now are you needing to be a little bit more kind to yourself? And potentially, this is on the fly, adding this in, how that might help some growth that you're looking for in life. So I'm going to pick 3 piles. Feel free, if you're feeling a lot of this, like this really resonates, feel free to pick more than one pile here. Okay, fill this one. This one. And I am going to turn these cards over, but I want to put stones over the title because I would like you to not pick based off of the title of the card. Just feeling a little bit more intuitively into these. So we have pile 1 with Lemurian quartz. pile 2. Oh, you can kind of see that. I'm going to get a different rock. Pile 2 with pyrite. And I'm wondering if, well, we'll see how this stone does to cover. And it covers it enough. Pile 3 with aragonite. So tune into the stones, the number of the pile, the images, and just feel which one or ones are drawing you in. When you're ready, timestamps will be in the descriptions, and I will see you guys in your readings. Hello, pile 1. You guys chose the Lemurian quartz, which I'm just going to put to the side here. And your card was Become Aware, Listen to the Wisdom of the Body. So there's so much that could be contained in this. I'm going to extract lots of different scenarios that may, like all of them may resonate for you, or some specific ones. Just pay attention to, as I'm speaking them, which ones really you feel in yourself. So I'm sure we could all be a little more kind to ourselves in terms of our body image, size, shape, color, you know, whatever, how it feels to us. We also, probably a lot of us, could pay better attention to what we're putting in our bodies. What kind of nutrition are we giving it? How are we moving our bodies in terms of giving it the proper sort of exercise and strengthening and physical feeling of wellness within it. Beyond that, I actually think that this cat is a leopard, but I initially thought it was a cheetah, which brought a huge flood of information to me. Like cheetahs are, and I'm sure this also works for a leopard, but cheetahs specifically are very, very, I think they're the fastest cats and maybe the fastest land animals. I'm not positive on that, but at least like up there. And so they can take off on these like really, really intense sprints, but they can't go long distance at that. And they need a lot of rest in between those. So there may also be some people in this pile who are needing to listen to how hard you're pushing your body, how hard you're pushing your energy right now. Are you trying to sprint too long or not giving yourself enough time between sprints? That's definitely something to pay attention to. And also your nervous system. That's part of like the wisdom in your body too. Are you allowing stresses to dominate you for some reason right now? And are you needing to kind of turn the mind off and do some really gentle, nourishing body practices just to get back into body, turn mind off, decompress? So all or some of those may have popped out to you, but there is some kindness being called of you around being aware of and listening to the wisdom of your body right now. Okay, we're going to get a couple more oracle cards and then a few tarot cards as well around this. The sweet waters, sensuality, romance, enjoyment, fertility, balance. So that balance coming in, that is big. Like how can you be more kind to your body in terms of enjoying life a little bit more, feeling your senses, like really taking time to be present in the moment and feeling, just take a minute right after this reading to be like, what do I want to feel? Like, what textures do I want to feel right now? Are those natural textures outdoor? Are those silks I want against my body? And then tune into each one like that. What do I want to smell right now? What do I want to taste right now? And just like getting into that sensuality, which could make you feel more romantic about life in general. To me, this isn't so much about like romance with another. I mean, it could be for some of you, but I feel like just feeling romantic about life, enjoying life, being present to your senses, and that kind of kindness to just being in your body and present will help you reconnect to a sense of fertility and a sense of balance coming through. And those senses telling you things too about what might feel healthy to your body, along with just the enjoyment and the pleasure and the romance of it all. There might also be information that comes through of like, I really want, to eat a bunch of berries right now or a big salad, and then I want to, start that yoga practice I've been, my body feels like it's been telling me it wants to get into, or something like that. But minimally just getting present in your senses and sort of letting that lead you to a little bit more pleasure and enjoyment and slowness in life, bringing more balance. Okay, another one, we're going to get another animal wisdom here. Cat. Speak your truth. Have strength, faith, and conviction in your voice. It has never been more needed. And I honestly feel, because this is about kindness towards self, there may be something you're needing to say out loud to another or to the world that is being kind to you, but I feel more prominently that you're needing to watch some self-speak, that you're needing to notice ways in which you speak to yourself. And by noticing, seeing some truths, maybe you're, I think we're all a little unaware of how often we speak hard things to ourselves. And so being more aware of and paying attention to that might help you see the truth of how you're speaking to yourself. One thing that I just came across and I think is a really beautiful thing that's been helping me a lot, and you may have, I mentioned this in one of the May piles. I got a little ahead of myself in one of the May piles. This kind of came up, this reading in general. And it would be interesting if you had the May reading and that pile, and then you came here. That is like a double confirmation that you need to speak more kindly to yourself, have a better inner dialogue, inner voice towards yourself, is putting something valuable on. For me, like I do tend to wear some jewelry, so that's like the natural thing I gravitated toward is a piece of jewelry that you really value, either because it, is made of valuable materials, or it might be valuable to you because it means something or it has a history. But something that you can put on your body, it certainly doesn't have to be jewelry, that every time you catch yourself being hard on yourself or speaking negatively, touching that and that reminding you to then reframe that and say something more in a more kind way and give yourself some kindness. There's definitely something coming through about that. Okay, we are going to do some tarot now, and my intention for this tarot is to see if you can pay more attention to and give this kind of kindness to yourself. What kind of growth will you see due to that? This one wants to come out, the Tower. Interesting. Four of Air. I'm almost positive that this exact tarot card came out in the May reading I was mentioning. So if you haven't done the May 2024 reading, and if you're here in that time frame, you may be here at a totally different time, but if you're here, when this reading comes out and it makes sense to get a May 2024 reading, I would go to that. Just be interesting to see if you picked the pile that I already kind of talked about, this self-speak stuff. So the Tower, Four of Air, and Ace of Earth. Beautiful. So the kind of growth you will see is kind of moving from what I'm feeling here is like there might be a focus right now on things that are falling apart a little bit, But if you can get into your body and just be present to what is and the beauty that is in your life, I think you'll be able to kind of surrender and just recognize certain things are currently just meant to fall apart. And it will really help to kind of calm your mind, make your mind more peaceful. This Four of Air is a secondary call out or a confirmation about needing to be more present. And I do remember in the May reading where this card came out specifically saying, because there's like all these gardening things, if you can do something physical in your body that makes you present to your body, that can naturally really turn your mind off and give it some stillness and peace. And so that might be a tactic you could use to kind of get away from maybe some mental or emotional fixation on things that are kind of falling apart right now, and just being present to the beauty of the season, doing something with your body actively, like gardening or cooking or walking, to help calm and still your mind. The growth that will then happen is you're going to start to see new opportunities for material growth in your life, whether that's some kind of financial growth or growth in terms of like how you're molding the world around you. Maybe you're literally gardening and you start to really find some power in that, find some energy, some clarity, some centering, and some new kind of passion arising for you in that, or simply feeling a growth of being connected to your body and just like more power in embodiment really coming through here. So really, really beautiful. I love this message. I think this could probably apply for anyone. I'm hoping all of these messages could be really applied to anybody. I think we all need a lot of coaching around self-kindness. So hopefully this resonated. If so, I always appreciate likes, shares, subscribes. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. Sorry. At the end, once this reading ends, there is a new thing I'm doing. There's going to be a slide that will show the card and stone you picked, along with kind of like bullet point keywords about this reading that you can pause and take a screenshot of if you want to be able to revisit and be more easily kind of recall what this reading said. Okay, wishing you a beautiful journey of kindness and being more aware of and listening to the wisdom of your body. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading all about in what way do you need to be more kind to yourself right now. So you picked the Pyrite pile and this beautiful card that says you deserve to be seen. Let yourself be known. Yes, we all deserve to be seen. It feels great to be seen. But what I'm feeling here is that before you can maybe feel comfortable being seen and even allowing yourself to be seen, you need to see yourself. And some practices you can do are really watching yourself speak, but more so taking a very proactive stance here. Writing down a list of things you love about yourself, writing down some things you think you are amazing at, that you have skill in, that you have talent in, that, qualities that you just like about yourself, what you feel you need to see about yourself that's beautiful. And all of these statements should feel very empowering. And so I feel like taking some time to really write some kind things about yourself, whether it's journaling or bullet points or I am statements, these kinds of things. Like, you need to let yourself be known to you. You deserve to see yourself. as amazing and beautiful, and whatever you want the world to see in you, you need to see it first. And I think that as you work on this very proactively, more and more you will find the confidence to be, allow these aspects of you to be seen, to receive being seen. Sometimes we are seen and we're just not receiving it. We're kind of closed off to seeing that we are actually seen. I don't know why I felt the need to say that. I think it's sort of like this thing of like this bird is actually looking at the deer, and I don't know that the deer sees that. I do think that people actually see you, but you're not receiving it because you don't see yourself the way you crave to be seen. You need to see yourself that way first. The way you crave to be seen is what you need to see and love about you first. So I do actually feel like you're being seen in a beautiful way already, but you need to do some work on being able to see yourself in these beautiful ways you deserve to see yourself, and then you'll start to notice that you're already being seen, but also this will strengthen what you allow to be seen as well. Okay, let's get a couple more oracle cards. Beneath the surface, what's really driving you? True motives, breaking free. I think if you are craving to be seen right now, or you feel like you're hiding for some reason, there's a more like subconscious thing going on here of like, why are you maybe overprotecting yourself or not seeing yourself in a certain way that's distorted? This is a call for you to go inward and to see kind of what that is. What's that barrier? I feel like, like imagine yourself on a stage doing a monologue for theater, and there's a full audience, but there's some kind of like bubble around you that's distorted, and so people can't see you as you are. They're seeing kind of like just a blurry figure, and it's like, what is that about? Maybe do some journaling about like, why is that bubble here? Why have I placed this kind of protective filter around myself? And that also reflects that like people are watching, like people are seeing you, but you're not letting it in, and you're also not letting them see the full of you, all of you. So maybe work with that, do some journaling around that image. If that doesn't resonate, maybe a different image comes to your mind around some barriers around being seen. But whatever image comes up, whether it's the one I just talked about or one that comes to you, I think journaling would be an amazing way to do some practices around this, along with what we already talked about, like writing some very kind things about yourself and some I am statements and some very empowering things. Doing both of those in tandem may help to create a breakthrough for you in ways in which you need to be kind about the way you're seeing yourself, and the way in which you're receiving being seen, and the way in which you're allowing yourself to be seen. Okay, let's get an animal message. Field mouse. Let's see. And it says, success, believe in yourself and dare to dream big. So maybe there's something that you are like really amazing at, that you have skill and command of, but it's like maybe there's some self-confidence, some doubt, some fear of success, fear of being seen due to some fear of success. But it's like, this makes me feel like there's something you're withholding that's really beautiful and really could really amplify and expand your life. So all the more reason to really work on writing some kind and empowering statements about yourself and working on some sort of image about in what way you're wanting or not being seen, or have a barrier around being seen. Yeah, I feel like it's time to break out of your shell. That's what I'm getting. There's like a shell. It's like time to break out of your shell. You're like in a protective cocoon, maybe with some doubt or a little bit of lack of courage to just like really put something out there that you know you should be putting out there. And it's like the way that you can crack that shell is to start being more kind to yourself in ways that empower and build your confidence. Yeah. Okay, so let's do some tarot now. And the tarot I'm going to do, I intend for this to show the kind of growth that will come in if you're able to really tap into and be kind to yourself in the ways we've talked about. What will come if you allow yourself to be seen, receive being seen. Yeah, and notice that you're being seen already as well. Got 5 of air. A lot of 5s, 5 of fire and 5 of air. Ten of fire. Okay, interesting. The growth that will come is you will, with the 5 of air in this particular deck with these sage bundles, smudging sticks, I feel like some growth that will come is you'll be able to clear the air in some kind of competition or conflict that's been going on in your life, especially around groups. You'll be able to cleanse that away, whether it's clearing the air or just kind of being able to move on from something. So that's some growth that will come in. You'll start to feel more courage and more confidence to the point that you will start to make plans and strategies of whatever this is that actually holds a lot of success for you that you're kind of holding back. And then you're going to start to also understand the purpose, like a deeper reason for allowing yourself to be seen, allowing this big dream to be out there. I think you'll find some growth in connecting to the purpose and the service of this, which then allows you to hold kind of the amount of duty and responsibility and weight that will come with allowing yourself and this big dream to be seen. I think right now maybe part of this gives some insight into, I think, part of kind of hiding away or withholding this or not quite having the built up courage yet to allow yourself to be seen and a big dream to be put out there is, you know, it's going to be a lot to hold. You know that there's going to be a lot of there's a word I'm looking for and it's not coming to me, but anyway, in essence, like a lot of weight and responsibility and work involved in it. But it's sort of like the more you can be kind to yourself, empower yourself, start to own your dream and own the beautiful things about you or about this dream that should be seen, you're gonna start, it was like you'll start to connect to the purpose of this, and that will give you the strength. That will give you the strength you need, courage you need, the drive you need to kind of get out there, put yourself out there, put your dream out there, to reach for something, to dare, to be, to move for your success. The more you step towards that, the more you connect to the purpose of it, and the more you're then able to hold the weight that comes with it. Okay, so wow, really, really interesting and profound message about this kindness you're needing to channel. It's, yeah, about something bigger than just kindness here. I mean, it is at the root, it's kindness, but it's like, stop holding yourself back it feels like the main message. It's kind of like a call to action, I feel like. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate kind and thoughtful comments, likes, shares, subscribes. A new thing I'm doing when this pile ends, there will be a slide that will just be static for a few seconds that you can pause and screenshot, that will have the card you chose and the stone, along with some keyword sort of bullet points if you want to be able to kind of like better recall and remember the details of the reading. Okay, I wish you a beautiful journey of kindness, as well as a beautiful journey of, kind of putting yourself out there, some dream out there. All right, I will see you guys in future readings. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading about ways in which you need to be more kind to yourself. So you picked the Aragonite, and your card is one that says, oops, if I can pick it up, emotions are the reflection. Look for the deeper meaning. So for all of the piles, I've kind of peeked through the guidebook to make sure, or just to get like the more broad understanding of what the card was intending. And the first two piles, they felt pretty straightforward to me, and I had some of my own thoughts, so I kind of put, took some notes from the guide, but also like wove in some of my own thoughts and impressions that came. But with this one, it feels a little bit more delicate and tender, and the way it's articulated in the book, it feels well thought out and deep. So I'm just feeling called to read straight from the guidebook about this card. Of course, afterwards I'll probably add in some thoughts as well. Okay, so it says emotions can often indicate how an event is affecting your inner child. When you experience an unusually intense emotional response to a present situation, it may be a sign that an aspect of your inner child is hurting. Since your inner child can carry many different wounds from childhood into your present moments as an adult, when intense emotions do arise, it is good to take a moment to sit with them and with your hurting inner child. Find a space where you can focus on your feelings and try to identify the sensations you are currently feeling. Ask yourself, is there a connection between how you feel now and your childhood? Listen to your intuition and become curious about what you are experiencing. Follow the trail of your emotions forward, continuing to ask yourself questions about where the root of these emotions might lie. Ask yourself if there is anything you can do to help heal this old wounding in the present moment. Have patience with yourself in this process and put this exercise aside if it becomes too overwhelming. And then some journaling prompts. Is this current emotion attached to something deeper inside of you? Ask yourself how it feels to understand the deeper meaning of your emotions. So what I'm feeling here in terms of like applying this to how you can be more kind to yourself is I feel like there are some emotions right now that need to be unpacked. And the kindness to yourself is doing like some healing work to your inner child, reflecting on, woundings that may have taken place in childhood and how those are impacting triggers in your current adult life, and maybe disproportionate emotions in reaction to events that take place. As an example, as I spoke about in the intro to this, I could definitely apply this to emotions that came up when I was taking care of my mom. Like, obviously mother stuff can be taken back to childhood for sure. Not saying there was anything intense there, but family, mothers. So I could definitely see how that's simple for me, because I can see very clearly tracing back to childhood and an emotional trigger in my adult life. But for some of you, there may be some emotion or trigger you're currently contending with that has you a little bit overwhelmed and feeling unkind about yourself, of like, why am I reacting in such a deeply emotional way to this thing that maybe seems like a disproportionate response. And this is sort of like your inner child luring you in, like, there's a pattern here, and can you trace this back? What in childhood may be kind of the root, the source of something that has created an inner child wound that is now creating some disturbance in your adult life, some triggers, some emotional reaction in your adult life, that if you could kind of go back to the root source and do some work around that, maybe you could like come into a space where you don't get triggered so easily, and see almost immediately that I know this is a trigger because of that. And so you're able to kind of hold some space for it, let it move through you, take you into another layer of the onion of work, right? But being able to give some space there and understand that, like, this thing that triggered it and the response I'm having isn't a one-to-one. I'm responding to things that go beyond this one event or this one situation or this one trigger. It goes further back, but now I know why that is, and I can give that space to let it move through me and do some deeper work, and then come back and respond to this situation appropriately instead of kind of imploding, right? So yeah, I do feel like this is a call to action from your inner child to be kind to yourself by being kind to your inner child, by investigating where your inner child is wounded so that you can show up in your adult life a little bit more responsive versus reactive. Okay, let's get, and believe me, we all have this. Every one of us has this. I definitely feel my own call to action there with my own scenario with my mother. Okay, so let's get a couple more oracle cards here. Cosmic Ocean, current dreams, future realities, new beginnings. So your dreams may hold some clues for you if you're having a hard time sourcing back to the root of a trigger for you. Pay attention to your dreams. If you're like me and don't remember your dreams that often, you could do some, what is it called? It's sort of like awake dreaming. There's a word for it, or a term for it, and it's just escaping my mind. But I'm sure you can like go on YouTube. There's so many tools for like free guided types of meditations and tools on YouTube that will take you into it's like this isn't the right term, but you may be able to Google it and find the right term, but it's like awake dreaming or conscious dreaming or something like that might help you to, I don't know, connect to images in your mind, or you could make an intention before going into it of like the intention of going into this kind of conscious dreaming is to get to the source of where this specific, think of the trigger you have right now and allow that dreaming to kind of like take you back and back and back, like trace it back, like, okay, this triggered me now, but it also triggered me a year ago, and it triggered me before that 3 years ago, and before that every 2 months, and before that once a year, whatever, until you get back and back and back to the place where that trigger started. And it's like, I just feel like this is saying if you can get back to the root of it and do some work, witness that wound to the inner child, that root place of the trigger, you'll be able to like come back into your current life feeling sort of refreshed and being able to create like a new kind of reality for yourself with a little bit more compassion and kindness and understanding and tenderness and something about it, like really being able to make you feel kind of like a new beginning in life, having done some deep inner child work, some deep healing. If this feels like really intense for you and dominant right now, definitely suggest, finding a professional that can help you more than little things I've said here, more specific to your scenario. Working with a therapist or counselor of some sort. They probably have much more professional tools to kind of be able to figure out and take you back to source wounds. Okay, let's get an animal message about this. Kangaroo, courage. Yeah, and I haven't even read what comes under it, but this does feel like this is calling for some courage for you to go back into some past things. You're being tested. Have faith and stand in your truth. Yeah, and I feel like that's what this new beginning is, that will help create better future realities, is even getting to the truth. To me, like, I almost want to bend this a little bit. Have faith that you will be able to get to the truth. And then once you get to the truth, you can stand in your truth. And so often what this also brings up here about standing in your truth, it's like, you need to get to the truth, but the stand in the truth that will then come once you get to the truth is bringing up this archetype of the wounded healer. So often what our greatest wounds are in life, when we tend to these, work on healing, really do some deep digging around these, it can become one of our greatest strengths. And we can then stand for others and help others do the work and bring more truth to the kind of work that you have gone through. And that feels like this is kind of leading you into being able to serve in that capacity by really digging in and doing some deep inner child work, finding root sources of triggers and inner child wounds. You will be able to come out and in a very truthful place help others, showing that you had the faith to follow through and do some deep work will give that kind of faith to others and themselves, that kind of modeling to others to do for themselves, that it can be done. It's not so scary, it can feel scary, but once we dive in there, sometimes what we find is like, oh, that was it. Not saying that's always the case, but I know for me, a lot of times when I've really ignored something and knowing that I've needed to face something, and like once I do, I'm like, that was it. I evaded this for a year and this was all it was. Like, gosh, Sometimes it is more intense, That's for some scenarios. Okay, let's do a few tarot cards now. And the intention for this is to see the kind of growth that will take place for you if you can give yourself this kind of kindness of doing some deep inner child work. Temperance, I love that. Ooh, and then the top card that fell here is Empress. Really beautiful, 2 major arcana. So the growth you will have is really profound if you do this work. And the Hermit, 3 major arcana cards. Man, this work, I will just say, even if it feels scary to you right now, or you're not quite sure how to approach this, like the growth that will come from doing this work is massive. You have 3 major arcana cards. I don't know why, like, I want to start with the Hermit. I don't know if it's because the last one that came out, so it's like on my mind, but this feels like really coming into like a really deep, sure understanding of you and your specific centering, your specific wholeness. And wholeness, the root of wholeness, I think has something to do with healing too. So you will, this also is a confirmation that you can come into a much, much, much more profound sense of wholeness. So a very healed sense of self. Empress, this will really supercharge your sense of creativity in life, trust in life to be fertile, to be creative, to be positive and beautiful and pleasurable. And then with Temperance, this is indicating this ability to develop a really beautiful inner world, and that reflected as a really beautiful external world, and being able to understand how these things mirror each other and how to be proactive in creating that mirroring and balancing the inner and the outer with a lot of grace and beauty and elegance, and just like a whole just to get like a much more together positive sense of self and healed sense of self coming through here. And with, I don't know why it's funny we went backwards, but this ending on the Temperance, just this image here, I feel just like your sense of self just becoming much more elegant, much more pulled together, much more sure-footed. Yeah, really, really beautiful and profound growth potential here. So don't ignore this one. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate support with likes and shares. Always very grateful for kind and thoughtful comments, but in general, thank you for coming here. I love you all. Just a side note, a new thing I'm doing is when this reading or this pile ends, there will be just a slide that will come up for a few seconds that you can pause and take a snapshot of, that will show your card and stone, along with kind of like keywords from the reading to help you recall what the reading was about if you are really connected to what was said and want to be able to kind of like revisit it very easily and recall things more easily. Okay, anyway, this is it, and I wish you a beautiful journey of being more kind to your inner child by kind of doing some deep healing work with your inner child. All right, I will see you in future readings.